They say every antique has a story. Some are tales of love, others of loss. But some stories are whispered, told in hushed tones around campfires, tales of objects that carry something more than just memories. My story begins with one such object, a mirror. An ornate, heavy thing I found tucked away in the dusty corner of a forgotten antique shop. The frame was beautifully carved with intricate vines and flowers, but the glass itself was what truly captivated me. It was dark, almost like looking into a pool of still water at midnight. So I bought it and took it home, and I would be in the living room and glance over, and for a split second, I'd see the reflection of my bedroom, but the door would be wide open. I'd freeze, knowing for a fact that I had just closed it. But when I'd look again, the reflection would be normal, showing the closed door just as it should be. I brushed it off as tricks of the light, my mind playing games. You know how it is. You want to find a logical explanation. The house is old, my eyes are tired. But then it happened more often. I'd be walking towards the kitchen, and the mirror would show me the kitchen a full second before I got there. It was like a strange, disorienting form of déjà vu. I'd see the kitchen lights on in the reflection, and then, as I rounded the corner, I'd flick the switch myself. It was bizarre, but not yet frightening. It was interesting. I even started testing it, trying to catch it in the act. I'd peek around corners, trying to see if what the mirror showed was real. It always was. It was like the mirror had its own perception of time, just a fraction ahead of mine. It was a Tuesday evening. I was getting ready for bed, walking from the bathroom back to my bedroom. As I passed the mirror, I saw the reflection of my room. The door was ajar, just as I'd left it. But inside, standing by my window, was a figure. A tall, slender silhouette, just standing there, looking out into the night. My heart hammered against my ribs. I slammed my back against the opposite wall, my eyes glued to the mirror. The figure didn't move. I couldn't make out any features, it was just a dark shape against the faint moonlight. I counted to 10, my breath catching in my throat, then I peeked into my actual bedroom. It was empty. Completely empty. The window was closed, the curtains drawn. There was no one there. I tried to rationalize it. A shadow from a tree branch, a strange reflection from a car's headlights. Anything. I even took the mirror down and put it in the spare room, facing the wall. I needed a break. I needed to convince myself I wasn't losing my mind. For a few days, the house felt normal again. The unsettling feeling faded, and I started to breathe easier. I told myself it was over. I'd almost convinced myself I had imagined the whole thing. The power of suggestion, right? I read a scary story online, and my imagination ran wild. That had to be it. But the silence was worse. The absence of the mirror in the hallway created a void, a blank space that my eyes were drawn to every time I passed. The quiet felt heavy, expectant. After a week, I couldn't stand it anymore. Curiosity, or maybe some darker compulsion, got the better of me. I went into the spare room. My hand trembled as I reached out and turned the mirror around. For a moment, it just reflected the plain wall behind me. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. It was just a mirror. An old, creepy, but ultimately harmless mirror. Then, the reflection shifted. It wasn't showing the spare room anymore. It was showing my hallway, the very spot where it used to hang. And in the reflection, I saw myself. Or, what I thought was me. I was standing there, staring back into the spare room, right at the mirror. But something was wrong. The reflection's expression was off. It was a blank, hollow stare. As I watched, frozen in place, the me in the mirror slowly, very slowly, raised a hand and beckoned. A silent, chilling invitation. I stumbled back, my skin crawling. This wasn't a glimpse into the future. This was something else. This was an invitation from the other side of the glass. I should have destroyed it then. Smashed it to 1,000 pieces and scattered the shards. But I didn't. I was mesmerized, caught in its trap. I put it back in the hallway, unable to resist its pull. I started spending hours just watching it, waiting for it to show me something. The figure by the window appeared again, sometimes in the living room, sometimes in the kitchen. It never moved, never acknowledged me. It was just there, a silent resident in the reflected version of my home. My world became two parallel realities, the one I lived in, and the one the mirror showed me. My world became two parallel realities, the one I lived in, and the one the mirror showed me. And the line between them was starting to blur. I stopped having guests over. How could I explain why I would suddenly stare into the hallway with wide-eyed terror? How could I explain the silent guests that only I could see? I became a prisoner in my own home, constantly monitored by that dark sleep became a luxury. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind was the sound of the figure stepping out of the glass and into my reality. I felt a constant presence, a cold spot in the air that would follow me from room to room. I was no longer alone, and the company was not welcome. The final night came unexpectedly. I was exhausted, having been awake for what felt like days. I was making my way to the living room, planning to collapse on the sofa. As I passed the mirror, I braced myself, expecting to see the silent sentinel in the reflection. But the living room in the mirror was empty. For a moment, relief washed over me. Maybe it was finally gone. Maybe the nightmare was over. I took another step, my eyes still on the glass. And that's when I saw it. The reflection of the hallway was empty, except for me. I was standing there, looking tired, defeated. But as I watched, something else came into view. Behind my reflection, another figure slowly emerged from the shadows of the doorway. It looked just like me. Same clothes, same tired expression. It raised a hand, not to beckon, but to place it gently on my reflection's shoulder. Then, it leaned in, as if to whisper a secret. I couldn't move. I could only watch in the glass as the mouth of my double opened. And then I felt it. A cold breath on the back of my own neck. A whisper, right in my ear. But I didn't hear it with my ears. I heard it in my head. A single, simple word. Welcome. I turned around, but of course, there was nothing there. I was alone. I looked back at the mirror. And this time, I saw myself. Just me. But I wasn't just looking at my reflection anymore. I was looking out from it. And behind me, in the real hallway, I could see my own body, standing frozen, a look of pure, unadulterated terror on its face as it stared back at me. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like or share and subscribe. And leave a comment below with your own spooky stories or follow for more folklore legends.